NotebookLM is one of the most powerful research tools out there, but when you combine it with Antigravity, a new vibe coding tool from Google, some incredible things start to happen. So in this video, I will show you how you can seamlessly connect the two tools to unlock their full potential and save time and money, and also how you can use them combined to solve real business problems. Over the last few months, I worked with a number of clients ranging from one-person startups to multi-billion-dollar brands. So the example that I'm going to show you today is something that I see a lot of businesses struggle to automate. But just quickly before we jump in, I'm sure you've used NotebookLM before, but in case you haven't, if you head over to notebook.google, this is where you can access it. And it's basically a tool where you can upload your own sources and then ask AI questions around those sources. And this is quite a good way to reduce hallucinations as well. And if you don't have any sources, you can also ask NotebookLM to find you some, and this is exactly what we're going to be doing today. And the second tool is Antigravity, which you can access at antigravity.google, and this is where you can download that for your Windows or Mac. And when you do that, you're going to have to go through the onboarding process, sign in with your Google account. So once it's done, we are ready to go. And just to show you quickly before we jump into the demo, this is exactly what we are going to be building today. So it's going to be a media intelligence dashboard that will aggregate and analyze the news sources. So over on the left-hand side, we've got all the sources of information like news articles, PDFs, Twitter, even YouTube. And what we're going to do with that is we're going to aggregate that inside of our brain, which is going to be NotebookLM. And with all that knowledge aggregated here, we're going to use Google Antigravity to then build the dashboard for us. So this is the overview of the whole process that we're going to go through today. And this is the end goal. As you can see, we've got the dashboard with the live news feed. We've got the keyword cloud as well, which is really cool, and source map. But most importantly, we've got this interactive chat and query where users are going to be able to ask AI questions around the news sources. So it's really cool. And it's going to give you citations as well. So this kind of process is what I see a lot of businesses put a lot of manual effort into, which can be quite automated if you think about it. So let's go ahead and do that. So when you download Antigravity, you will land on a screen that looks like this. And I've done the entire deep dive on Antigravity. So if you haven't watched that, make sure you go ahead and give that a watch. But just very quickly, everything that you create with Antigravity is going to live inside of folders on your PC. So if I click on open folder, let me just select one. And I'm just select this one here, media dashboard. When you're on the inside, this is what it looks like. And don't worry if it feels a bit intimidating. So just very quickly, over on the left-hand side, we've got Explorer. And this is where all of the files, all of the documents are gonna sit. So this is where you can access them. And the middle part here is where you can preview everything. So your files, images, and so on. So the right-hand side is probably going to look quite similar. So this is where you can actually chat to your AI agent. And we've got the obviously chat box, and then we've got a choice between different models. So we've got Claude, we can choose Gemini as well as GPT. I'm probably gonna stick with Claude for this example. So the very first thing that we need to do is obviously to connect Antigravity and NotebookLM. So you might be thinking, how do we actually do that? And we're gonna do that via what's called an MCP, which stands for Model Context Protocol. And it's basically a way for different tools and platforms to talk to each other. So if I click the three dots in the top right here and then go to MCP servers, this is where we've got all of the official MCPs that we can connect with. And if I search for NotebookLM, nothing's going to come up because there isn't actually an official NotebookLM MCP that we can connect with, but we're actually not going to install it ourselves. We're just going to ask Antigravity to do it for us. So this is how we do it. If I click on back to agent, and the prompt that you give it, it can be as simple as this. So I need you to install the most recent version of the NotebookLM MCP, configure it, and then connect my Google account. So what's going to happen now is AI is going to run a few commands, maybe research how to actually do it, and it's probably going to ask us to accept some stuff. So let me just select run. So as you can see, it's now found the most recent version and it's going to go ahead and install it. By the way, here's the actual prompt I've used, so feel free to just pause the screen and copy it if you want to. And by the way, it might take it a few seconds or even minutes to go through all this stuff, so just give it a minute. And when you go through the installation process, you're going to notice that it's going to try to open Google Chrome tab and it's going to ask you to sign in. So let me do that right now. All right, perfect. It looks like the MCP has been installed. So let me go to manage MCP servers. There you go here. So we've got the NotebookLM with 32 endpoints, which is cool. Right, so now that we have it connected, let's give it a quick test. Can you use the NotebookLM MCP and give me the name of the most recent notebooks I've created? And as you can see, it's got the name as well as the number of sources and even the link, so I can open that in NotebookLM, which is cool. So that means it's working. But just to show you as well, Based on the content of this notebook, can you create an infographics for me? Right, so something like this usually takes a bit longer, and Antigravity is like, just give me the infographic, come on, man. As you can see, it's making request after request. And as you can see, it's finally here. And it's looking pretty cool with all the AI images and text. And just by the way, I'm not sure if you know, but when you have images inside of Antigravity, what you can do is you can highlight specific parts of the image and then add comments for AI, so that if you want anything changed, maybe you have some comments that you want to leave for AI, you can do that here, which is very useful as well. Right, so the next step in creating our dashboard is to actually set up the brain behind it. So right now I'm in NotebookLM, and let me just click Create New in the top right, and that will create a new notebook for us. Let me close this for a moment. And as you can see over on the left hand side, we've got the sources section, which is where we can upload or research the sources that we want to have in the notebook. And here's where we can chat with NotebookLM. And over on the right hand side, we've got various different tools that we can use, like audio overview or infographic, which is very useful. So since I don't have any sources that I want to use, let me just use the research function to find some for me. And I've actually got a prompt for this, so let me paste it here. And it's basically going to ask AI to research anything that happened in AI and tech in February 2026, which is right now. And we've got all of those keywords listed here. And the purpose of that is so that AI can watch out for those in the article title and content. So let me send that off. So the research has been completed and it found 10 sources for us from what I can see. So let's import those, and all of them but one are good to go. So let me just delete that one quickly. It's probably behind a paywall. But before we go ahead and use that data to create the dashboard, let me just verify something quickly. Can you give me a summary of the sources that you just found, showing the publication date, the title, as well as the author? And that's something I usually ask NotebookLM, just because I want to have an overview of the data that we are dealing with. And it's especially useful for something like this, where I ask AI to find the most recent stuff. We actually want to make sure that we are working with the most recent stuff. And as you can see, all of the sources are from 2026, which is awesome. So that means we are good to go. Alright, so now that we have the brain, the next step is to set up the body for our project. And if you've watched my previous video, you know that I usually start with the ideation prompt so that we can come up with a plan before we jump into Antigravity and start creating stuff. And by the way, you can use any AI of your choice for this, like Claude or ChatGPT. I'm just going to use Gemini. So now that we've sent the prompt, it's going to say, let's get started. Right, so at this point, this is where you can describe the idea to AI. And I've actually got a prompt for this prepared. So let me paste it here. And it's basically going to say, I would like you to create a minimalistic dashboard. It must have different sections. It must have a chat box as well. And it must link to NotebookLM MCP. So let's send that off. And this is where you can be as descriptive as you want. At this point, AI will do a little bit of research to see if what we want is actually possible with Antigravity as of right now. And it's also going to ask us some questions. If you scroll all the way down here, this is just some technical check that AI performs. You're welcome to read through it if you want. But if you scroll all the way down, we've got the questioning phase, and we've got 6 questions, and it's going to be about visual style, data structure, and things like that. So let me answer those quickly. And based on what I just said, the AI is going to come up with a plan for us. So literally all you have to do is copy and paste all of this text here. So let me highlight all of it, do Control-C, and hop back over to Antigravity, and let's just paste that here. And let's switch to Gemini 3 Pro, because why not? I found that Gemini is a little bit better at visual stuff like this, so it's probably a good idea to have this model take care of the dashboard creation for us. But let's see. And as always, let me just take a quick sip of coffee and sit back and watch it do all the work for me. So it's asking us to run some command. Let's just click run. Right, so Antigravity has just finished working on the dashboard, and I've got this opened right here. And it's not looking too bad. As you can see, we've got the map where the different sources are from, as well as the source feed, which is where all the different sources are. And we've got the positive, negative, and neutral, which is really cool. And the keyword cloud, I love this one. And the keyword cloud as well, I love it. And this is where we can chat to NotebookLM. And keep in mind, this is a first version of the dashboard like this. So at this point, you can go back to Antigravity and just kind of go back and forth with it if you want any changes to be made or improvements to the actual dashboard. But I'm happy with it. So let's leave it as it is. And you can even move around the map, which is cool. And if you're wondering what all those files and folders are, the TMP, that's just the temporary folder. This is where all the temporary files and documents are going to be stored. .env is just an environmental variables section, which is where all the API keys and things like that are going to be stored. And readme.md, this is like our basic overview of what we've just built. So I've instructed AI to always include that in the prompt so that we get like a nice little summary of a project. And by the way, .md just stands for Markdown, which is like a way of presenting text. So we've got those hashtags here, those represent headings. We've got all the different formatting options. So that's all it is. Right, so now you know how powerful those two tools can be when combined. But if you want to take this one step further and actually deploy the dashboard that you've just created, make sure you give that video a watch, because this is where I walk you through exactly how to go from an idea to a fully functional dashboard. And this video walks you through exactly how to start using Antigravity, even if you're a complete beginner. So make sure you give that a watch next. And I'll see you in the next video.